I'm Holly Fulger, and I'm the founder of True Beauty Discovery. We're a nonprofit, and our mission is to support girls and women as we celebrate the pursuit of individualism, because it's our individuality that makes us beautiful, right? Because we're a nonprofit, we rely on donations to be able to keep our initiatives going. So if you would like to support us in our mission, just text the word beauty, BEAUTY, to 243725. So today I am incredibly excited because today we're interviewing Jennifer King. Jennifer King is an idol of mine. And I'm thrilled. I am so excited to talk to her. I can't even tell you. We talked a little bit before, but this is thrilling to me. Jennifer King is the assistant running backs coach for the Washington football team. Okay, that's cool. So, Jennifer King, welcome. Are you on?
Yeah, I'm right here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. So, Jennifer, I want just to say to everybody out there that this past January, you were named to assistant running backs coach for the Washington football team. And you made history as the first Black woman to coach full-time in the NFL. You made history, girl. Look at you. How does that feel? How does that feel?
It's super surreal. I think it's something that I still don't really completely grasp, to be a first and to see where my name has now been mentioned in the categories and the people with. I think it's something I'll appreciate more probably down the road. But right now, I'm just kind of got my head down grinding. But it's definitely an honor, and I'll definitely be appreciative of it.
How does it feel to work in a field primarily dominated by men? And what would you say were your biggest roadblocks in getting to where you are now?
Yeah, I remember it's just the type of person I am. I never even think about being the only woman in the room sometimes. Like I'm just there. Like they don't treat me like the only woman in the room. I think it's maybe a testament to the people that I'm around. They never make it a big deal. They never say anything about it. I'm just another coach, which is fine with me. So yeah, it never really comes up as far as like thinking like, wow, I'm the only woman here. But like I said, I think that means a lot to the people around me, that I
Yeah.
don't have to think about that because they never make it a big deal. As far as hurdles, really my hardest hurdle was leaving coaching college basketball to go into football full time. I've been successful. We won a national championship, and I just essentially walked away from a super comfortable life into the unknown. So that was probably the biggest hurdle, was just taking that first step to make that leap.
That's thrilling. Who did you coach for basketball?
Yeah, I
Dartmouth?
was at John Wells University in Charlotte. Yeah.
Um, wow. So, okay, I'm sorry. So, what's the most challenging thing about your job?
It's just, you constantly have to grow and get better just because I think the NFL game is so complex. There's always moving parts, something's always changing. And, our playbook is massive. So just constantly growing in the playbook to be able to teach and to make people better is probably the biggest challenge, because that's, I'm a very hands on person. So I want our guys to be the best they can be every Sunday. So I need to know everything to help them out and to give them keys and pointers to look for to perform at their best. And just building those relationships with those guys has been great. But that's definitely the hardest thing, is just continuing to grow, continuing to learn and get better every day.
Yeah. So the group of like women, there aren't that many female coaches right now. I think, yeah. I mean, when I looked it up, there aren't that many. And like you said, you kind of all stay in touch. Um, and there's that ref who's also a woman who was at
Yeah,
the
there's
Super
two
Bowl.
reps now, actually.
Really? The one,
Yeah,
Sarah Thomas, what's her name? Sarah Thomas,
Sarah
I
Thomas.
think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who was at the Super Bowl, and then I don't know this other one, so I'd have
yeah,
to.
she's new. This will be her first season.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
I mean, that was thrilling. And that was thrilling for the Super Bowl. Anyways, back to questions. Is there any advice that you give your team before a game that you think works in everyday life?
Yeah, I think it's really trusting yourself. I think a lot of people create problems sometimes in their mind that aren't really there, or make things bigger than they are. And I want our guys every Sunday to go out and just play free. Like if you make a mistake, make it 100% wide open. Don't overthink things. Don't doubt yourself. I want you to play fast and free, and that's something we talk about all the time. It's just maximum effort and not thinking too much. Because a lot of times you're right, and you overthink it, you overdo it, and it ends up hurting you. So just believe in yourself and be fast and free.
I think as an actor, I've been an actress, and one of the things that you strive for is, it sounds exactly the same, is when you get too much in your head, it messes with you and your performance is completely off. So you try to get in that zone. And I liken it to that, but getting in that zone is not all. I mean, it's not just, okay, I'm in the zone. I mean, it takes tremendous everything. It takes skill, it takes mental conditioning. It's so it- and that to me with athletics is what's so cool. Sometimes when I watch athletes, when I watch football players, when you watch somebody, it's just when they're in sync, when the quarterback, hits the right player, and they just and it's beautiful to me. It's like I just find it gorgeous. I just find watching that level of athleticism and skill, it's phenomenal. It's thrilling. So I'm sure you watch that all the time with your team. But wow. Okay. Is okay. Okay. What's your dream position? What's next for you? Like, would you want to be the coach of a football team? Is that something that I mean, I know you're feet on the ground now, but
Mhm.
is that something that you think about ever or sometimes?
I mean, not really. I mean, I would maybe one day. Like I was an assistant basketball coach at the college level for um, about 6 years, 7 years before I decided to be a head coach. I was comfortable where I was, and I think that's so important. Is if you're happy where you are and you're in a good situation, sometimes it's fine to stay where you are. You don't always have to try to chase different things. And where I am now, I mean, I'm in a great position. I'm growing. I work with a great group. So I never really think about what's next too much. To one day be a head coach, that's super cool. Don't really think about it. One day maybe it'll happen, but now I'm just trying to grow and develop, every day. Like I'm really just locked in the moment.
Do you have any coaches who are some of your favorite coaches besides the one you're working with right now? Do you have any that you
Mhm.
can, who like that you like? For me, I used to love to watch Shanahan, not the young Shanahan, the older Shanahan, when he would coach
Mhm.
Denver, because he would get so mad. I just used to like to, there's certain coaches I love to watch because I love to watch their behavior and how they, Shanahan had, he would get so riled up, or Cower would, used to, I love to watch him scream, and he was a good coach. It wasn't like he was a bad coach. But do you have any coaches who you especially admire, or who you love to watch, or, uh, you know, like that.
I mean, for me, it's more schematically. So, like things that they do. So, like Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City, things they do with the offense. Shanahan in San Francisco. When you watch them on film, sometimes they're doing things other people aren't doing. You start seeing new things and growing and learning. So, I love Coach Mac Brown in North Carolina. Not an NFL coach, but in college, just how he handles and manages the program. And there's a bunch of coaches that I love just to see how they do things. It's more, the different things that they do, the little nuances that they add to offenses is really cool.
Do you like Belichick?
I do, yeah, love Belichick. I think his personality, it works for what they do, and he's been extremely successful. So what can you say?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes he's a little misunderstood. But I think he's a great coach, and actually this year he was a part of the Women's Coaches Forum that the NFL put on. So it was cool to see him, in the room.
I bet it was. I bet it was. He always just looks. I don't meet them personally. As a fan, I just watch them and get to know them. But he's definitely, like he's a character as well as a brilliant coach. But I mean, he just kind of, I don't. He's kind of a character. Many of them are, but all right. Anyways, do you have any advice for young girls who look up to you?
I think the biggest thing is to really learn and grow in whatever you want to do. First of all, decide what you want to do. Like I always get people who tell me I want to work in sport, and there are like a million jobs in sport. So really determine what you want to do and start getting and growing your network of people who do those things, and start reaching out to people via email or whatever you need to do. And it only takes one response sometimes to start developing that connection and relationship and create opportunities for yourself. And once you create those opportunities, up to you, to knock it out of the park. So you have to go in with confidence, and learning and knowing what you're doing obviously helps when you get into the building or get your foot in the door. So really grow and develop your craft. And when you get opportunities, it's up to you. You gotta be ready to knock them out of the park.
Well, you did that, it sounds like. I mean, when you went up to Ron Rivera and talked to him after that forum,
Hmm.
it sounds like you reached out and kind of, asked for what you wanted, you know, which is really what you need to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
had to. I mean, I had to, like literally when I was a head coach at Johnson Wells in Charlotte, my office was next door to the Panthers facility, but Coach Rivera didn't know who I was just because I was next door. So I had to, shoot my shot essentially when I got an opportunity to get one-on-one time with him. So you got to have that confidence to just do it. And he could have told me to beat it for all but hey, I tried, and I think that's bigger to me than failing. So that what if. I don't want to have that.
so it sounds like your discipline of sports as you grew up and as a child and as an adult has taught you confidence in a way that it sounds profound. Like it's taught you a level of confidence, which is why sports are so important in schools too, I think, and for young people, because it's my children went to this, and I don't want to diss it or anything, but they went to a Waldorf school, and Waldorf school is a developmental school, and it's all about non-competition, and it's all about,
Uh,
you have a game and it's just good job, like everyone's a winner. So I found that, um, there was a lack of competitiveness sometime with my kids, which was interesting to me because, you're like, we're all one, we all win, but at the same time, I mean, but there's also really good competition, there's healthy competition, and I think that that's really important to learn the different, to learn that and to learn healthy competition, which I don't know
mhm.
that they quite got. I mean, my daughter's listening to this, so she might tell me differently, but I don't know. It was odd, not odd, but it was interesting. Um, okay. Um, what's the most surprising thing about your job?
I think the most surprising thing that I guess people wouldn't know is just the work that we put in to prepare, for a game. People turn their TV on and watch the game, and that's it. But we've literally prepared, like I mentioned earlier, 15 hours a day for one game. All the things that could possibly happen or things that we think that will work to be successful, and then people finish the game, turn the TV off, and we're back onto another week already. And it's just so much preparation goes in, and so much goes into to play calls, and it's math involved with playing percentages and statistics, and it's just so much the game within the game essentially that goes on. I don't think people realize.
I don't think they do either. Just so, for example, all those plays, right? All those plays that a quarterback, they all know the same plays, right? Each player knows all the same plays, and you must
Mhm.
run all those different plays. But there's a lot of them. I mean, just I guess I'm a little flummoxed, but what if? How do they learn that? Is that just rote, doing over and over and over and over and over, kind of the same play, so you know what you're talking about?
It's all about terminology. I mean, so an NFL play call is extremely long, but it's telling everybody what to do. And as far as the play calling goes, some of it's based off, like I said, the analytics of it. So it's 3rd and 4, so there's like a 60% chance they're going to play this defense. So because of that, we're going to do this. And it's stuff like that that happens, and this is happening within seconds. To make the calls from that. So that's why the preparation is so important going into games, so you have an idea of what you could get, and obviously they're doing the same thing on the other side. So it's definitely a big game within the game going on.
So is it so that if they change, like sometimes the calls change right before the play, correct?
Hmm.
Who
Yeah.
changes that? The quarterback, like, does it depend on who does the call? Who calls the
Yeah,
play?
usually, the play call that comes in will have your kill, which is essentially the word we use to change the first play. It'll be involved in the play call, so everyone already knows the call that could happen. So when it gets killed, you already know we're jumping to the second play.
Oh, wow. I mean, you kind of addressed this, but how do you prepare for game day? You sort of were talking about that, but it's a question that just
Hmm.
came in.
I mean,
Like,
for me, a game day, I think it's, especially in the NFL, it's so special, and I'm so happy to have fans back this upcoming season. But I like the 1 o'clock games better, just because you don't have to wait all day. The night games, the prime time games, you essentially sit around a hotel all day long. So I try to exercise or work out. But the early games, you get up, have a breakfast, go to the stadium, and kind of start the routine. Which I like to. I usually do walk laps or whatever around the field, just to kind of be out there, listen to music, and then I have some one-on-one workouts that I do with our guys when they get out there. So it's a lot. It's a routine. So I know essentially at this time this guy's going to come out, and then after he's done, I know someone else will probably be out by then, so we can start doing our thing. But I like it, love it, and then you go in and you really get ready for the game.
so like you get there early, right? If the game's at 1, you
Yeah.
get there.
Hmm. Yeah,
What?
I'm usually there if the game's at 1. I usually get to the stadium around 10:30.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, um, I'm just so when they're playing, they're not all like, it's not quiet. It's a lot of, I mean, when two teams are playing, do they talk back and forth to each other?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of talking before.
Like, I didn't want to, yeah, but I bet, I bet, like, like some of it might not be nice, probably.
Yeah, most of it's not.
Okay, here's another question. Okay, it seems that the NFL can have a negative appearance when it comes to how men treat women. How do you think the NFL is changing this perception, and what initiatives are being put in place to support all communities?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would agree with that. I think it's just because who they are. Obviously, when you have an incident, it's you see the one person, but you got to think there's thousands of people in the NFL, and if you get one person, obviously that's terrible, or two people, that's terrible. But when you look at compared to statistically in society, it's much less than that. And I think, but the NFL does have they have so many mandatory programs that the players have to complete, whether it's financially or domestic related or relationships. There are tons of programs in place at the league level and at the team level that these guys have to complete. And obviously everyone's no not an angel. Sometimes people mess up, but I think statistically looking at our league, far less of our guys get into trouble than the general population.
Yeah. Okay. What's the best part of your job?
Just relationships with our with the players. I think that helps build your coaching success is having relationships with the players outside of the football. We can have a conversation and never talk about football, which is great. I know what's going on in their lives, and we can just talk. And so I think at the end of the day, those type of things and the stories, the funny times that happen, those are things you miss. Like when you're a part of a team, of course you miss your games, but it's the stories that you look back on and laugh. Like I have teammates, we still text each other all the time. Like you remember when this happened? We laugh, but it's stuff like that that you really love. So that's probably the best part. It's just those relationships.
Yeah, it's like I can only imagine. It just sounds it just it's like, and it seems to me that teams, some teams, like I think Cleveland went through this where if you're not all playing as a team, if you have somebody, personality wise, let's face it, there's a lot of personalities because there's a lot of, it, stars. So that if the personalities aren't gelling, it affects the team, I think, and it affects the play, how they play. But when you get a team that's just, kind of in sync like that, it just does look, kind of like a family. It becomes, you know, like your family. And I think that's, I don't know. It's just, I can only imagine. It just sounds so, I don't know, it just sounds so cool. I would love to be you one game. I would love to, I just would love to see what it's like because, I have my ideas of what it's like. And I just, I used to have this idea like, well, the locker room is, like a locker room, and they're beautiful. I think I'm thinking it like from a long time ago, some icky locker room, but they're pretty beautiful. Like you all kind of, you know, have some, I mean, really nice facilities, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna
Very
ask
nice.
another me nerdy question. Do you have your own planes? Do you fly? How do you like?
Yeah. Well, I think some teams have their own plane. Most teams charter, so they'll just use whatever is probably the major airline in their area. Like we use United just because we leave from Dulles, which is
Yeah,
a United hub. So we charter a United plane.
yeah. Um, and are there any, like, remember when Madden wouldn't fly, he would take his bus? Is anybody, is anyone like that? Because I might be like that a little bit.
Oh no, I haven't. Not that I know of. I think everyone fly. I mean, we take some pretty long trips, but I think I haven't heard of anyone having any issues.
Yeah. Okay, let me just see if there's any other questions. Um, Hang on one second. Is there anything else that you might want to talk about or say? Hang on. Sorry. Um, I think we've asked all those. Just in terms of what you've accomplished and in terms of, you just seem to me to be, it's sort of, you're just focused and it just seems kind of like a simple equation. You do this, you do this, you do this. It doesn't seem like I mean, and I know there's a lot of complexities, but at the same time, you just seem so well directed and so, getting it done, just get it done. You don't come with a lot of, you know, like me, flappiness. You come with, you just seem so together and kind of fabulous. So, any advice for, any advice for a little girl watching today um, who loves sports? Maybe she's not that great, but maybe some advice you might tell her for um, going forward and um, going forward. I guess, let me think, because I was not good in sports, but
Mhm.
any advice, like if you're talking to a little kid who's not that great in sports, but who would love to be in sports, any advice you tell me, me
I
being
mean,
that.
the biggest thing is you gotta continue to practice and continue to grow. If you're not gonna get better by not practicing. So I think if you really want to be good at a sport, you have to work your behind off. Sometimes people are more naturally gifted athletically than others. So if you're not naturally gifted, then you have to make it up in that work ethic department and work harder and learn about the game more. So be smarter than everyone else as well. That's something I always loved about basketball. I was, obviously I had some athletic ability, but I always felt like I was smarter than a lot of people I was playing. So that made me be one step ahead. So I was even faster than I really was because I already had an idea what was going to happen. So I think it's really looking to more in depth about things and study your opponents to gain those advantages. But as a child, it's all about having fun, practicing, developing, and as long as you still enjoy the sport, practicing it every day, you can definitely be good at it.
Okay, one last question just from me. What were your parents like growing up? I mean, they must have been wonderful. They must have been, really supportive. Like, like, were they involved in sports? Were they, what were they like? What are they like? I know you're there right
Yeah,
now.
they were great. I mean, they weren't really involved in sports growing up, but they supported my sister and I, 100%. So they were always at games, and like I said, any sport I wanted to try, they would just sign me up and
Yeah.
let me do it. And they
Take you to yeah.
obviously sacrificed a lot of their time for me, taking me to practices and all over the place. I played on some select teams that practiced all over the state, so they would drive me there and sit there while we practice. So definitely sacrificed a lot, but it was for us, our growth and development. So definitely thankful for them for that.
Do they go to your games?
Yeah, yeah, they go to pretty much any game I've participated in. They've either been there or watched the stream of it.
Do they go now? Do they watch your games now, like with Washington? Do they travel and come see your?
Yeah, well, obviously it was different with COVID, so it was only like one game that they could come to, but they were there.
Yeah. Who do you
Yeah.
play first? You have your schedules, right? For
No,
this.
they come out next week.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, we just have our opponents. We know who we're playing, we just don't know when.
okay. Um,
Mhm.
I would love to see a game with you. I would love to. If I ever come, I'll text you or let you know. So I think we're going to wrap it up, but I could talk to you like all day. I could sit here and just. I really could. I think I thank you for talking to me and to us today because I just I admire you so much and I'm so happy to meet you and I think what you're doing is amazing and I know that I get I don't think like I said that you made history and you were like well yeah but I don't know that has sunk in or that level of it's kind of a responsibility in a way that was put upon you for doing something that you love and for being good at it and i I just you have a huge fan in me always like you have a huge fan if you ever want somebody to if you're feeling low you can always call me up and just like I don't feel right today.
I
I,
appreciate that.
I'd be all like, hey, I really would. I think you're fantastic. I don't think we have any other questions, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. I think you're terrific. And and I fingers crossed for Washington, fingers crossed for Cleveland too, for this season. And I think that if there's no other questions, I think that will be we're going to wrap it up. But thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for
Can
having
I
me.
keep in touch with you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I will. All right. So thanks to everybody out there. And we don't have our next speaker lined up, but we will keep you posted and and I'll keep in touch.
All
Thanks,
right, sounds
Jennifer.
good to me.
Thanks, Dion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm about to leave.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So, okay, I think everybody else. So anyways, thank you so much. And when I get this edited, I will reach out to you and I will get it to
Okay.
you.
All
Okay.
right. Sounds
Bye,
good
your
to me.
parents. Happy,
All right.
tell your mom happy Mother's Day.
I
Okay.
will. You
Bye.
same to you.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.